Hey, what's up, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just gonna run through a quick little prep here. Just look at our indices real quick. We did have that CPI just drop. And a little bit of a negative reaction, but nothing too crazy yet here. Still plenty of gains on the week that we are not washing away just yet. So just a quick look here around the board. Getting that little bit of a pullback here to this 44.10 or so, right? We are still just a little bit green here on ES. Let's see if we can bounce just right at these levels, right? Looking to hold at about this 44.10. We did ultimately here, let's see, in session. Oh no, yeah, our high of week here in session is pretty decent, up at about 44.20. So let's see, just gonna throw my spaghetti at it here. I know we have some levels, especially at this 44.20. And we've got some a point of control here from the summer, from both June and August, right? So this 44.20 has been quite the level for us. Not surprised that we rejected it here perfectly on Tuesday and are trying to work our way back up to it, right? Got through it here overnight, but we are back below it. So definitely keep an eye on this 44.20. This 44.20 is going to continue to be a big level, right? And if we can crack up through this 44.38 has been a big level for us in the past as well, right? As we can see here, some previous points of control from back in the day. But these levels continue to slap here even to this day. But something major I'm looking to here is to hold this daily mean, right? We got this daily mean a little bit under 4,400, key psychological level, right? And here at about this 43.90. Done a pretty good job here. Tuesday to get through it, Wednesday to try and hold it. Could be a pullback to this 43.90. Maybe we rip then for the rest of the day. Right, got to be really careful here with the CPI drop and as ES tries to hold green. I know I always preach patience here at the open. However, if we can continue to hold right at this level to hold green on ES, I'm going to take some risk here early on and maybe right at open to the upside. Right, it's going to be a small size though, something I'm prepared to go to zero, but just so I can have some exposure in case we get an immediate bounce, right? But again, I'm looking to possibly have a pullback to this daily mean again, and then rip to the upside from there possibly. So again, I'm looking to maybe buy a starter position here right at open, depending on how maybe that first 5 minutes looks like. And then if anything, looking to average down or pile into a bigger long position, right, to the upside, down at this daily mean. So gonna keep it real simple here, y'all. Two levels I'm trying to buy at, right? The level we're at right now, if we can continue to hold this 44.10 here for the next couple minutes. And if not, I'm looking to buy in here at the mean. Right below the mean, I'm getting out of all of my longs for sure. Ultimate target here to the upside, this daily 50, right? Or a nice psych level of 44.50, but somewhere in this little zone right here. But again, got to be careful here, right? We did just have that CPI number drop, some non-farm payroll. Not terrible numbers, but we know how that manipulation is in those opening 30 minutes. Got to be careful. Right, NQ here with a similar setup, right? We're here at high of week, trying to hang on. We do have the daily mean a little bit lower. As we can see here, NQ has had a better run above the daily mean in the last couple days. So the daily mean might be a heavier target to the downside. So similar to ES, but instead of the mean, I'm looking to hold this daily 50, right? Gets us near a nice psych level of 15,300. and back to this consolidation here in the previous days. So looking to bounce this zone here that we have consolidated at already. If we get a little bit of downside right at open, very possible. Quick look at YM. YM sitting right at the daily mean after making a nice run up to it. Gotta be careful here as well, right? So just how I'm saying, looking for ES to hold that level right at open, looking for YM to hold this mean right at open, right? If not, probably a trip down here to the daily 8 exponential moving average. Got a couple older points of control here, one from this year, one from last year, a couple downside targets on the way to this daily 8 exponential moving average. But gotta be careful. Oh, we do have a nice psych level here of 34,000 as well, right? Looking to really hold this 34,000 right at open, and again, preferably that daily mean. Jumping over to SPY and QQQ here real quick, right? Obviously the same setup that we just talked about in ES and QQQ. NQ, sorry. So here for Qs, right, the same thing. Looking to hold this daily 50, right? Should pop up here a little bit once we open. And we have a nice psych level here of 370, right? Really looking to stay above this 370, if not this daily 50 simple moving average. And again, the mean a little bit lower than I want to go here, but obviously we have targets here to the downside. So quick look at strikes over here. Start picking out some strikes. Jump up to the 12th here. And let's see, right, we had a decent little drop here on that data. As we can see, some of our beast numbers punching a little bit of not available as we get closer to those strikes. Right, these strikes have had less volume, but looking like we're still in a pretty decent range. Should be able to use these. If not, I will be jumping here to tomorrow. Honestly, with this data drop, right, we're likely to see some heavy manipulation here at open. You know, if you know you are someone who jumps into positions too early, right, you know, always playing the next day is a good move. You know, you're going to have a little more wiggle room, right? You're going to be able to tolerate a little bit more drawback. And then when price action ultimately does move in your favor, you're going to be able to recover quickly. I'm sure we all know that those 0 days can be unforgiving sometimes. But for now, I'm going to jump into the same day ones. And let's see here, Q's set to open here right at yesterday's high, right at the high of week here at about 371.5. Really key level we need to hold right here. So I'm going to pick something like the 372 or the 373 to the upside. Let's see here. This 372 had a ton of volume, but this 373, not bad as well. Just going to use this 373 for now. And on the other side, going to use a nice psychological strike here of 370. Ooh, which came and closed right at beast, right? So this is obviously going to take off here right at open, right, with this little bit of a downside we got. With some good strikes here to watch. Gonna be patient here in these first few minutes, right, as always, but might be a little riskier here with an upside move, right? We're at some great levels for an immediate bounce. Gonna keep a really close eye on these calls. Okay, jumping to SPY real quick. And then we got Bell here in about 2 minutes. So SPY, again, right, same situation, right? We're looking to hold this daily mean here, preferably even like this psychological level of 435. And again, we have a nice easy target to the upside here at this daily 50, pretty much stacking at a nice psychological level of 440. So some nice targets here up and down, right? Below this daily mean, we have the daily 8 exponential moving average, and a nice psychological level of 430 below that. So between this 430 and 440, we have some great targets here on SPY. We're set to open here at about 437. Hop over here to this screen, and we'll pick some strikes here. So again, we're here at about 437. 440 might be a little farther out than I want to play. But hey, you know, we are expecting a nice move to the upside if we do get that bounce ultimately. Let's roll with this 440 for now. Probably going to be super cheap here, seeing as it closed at 56 cents. Might open right at Beast here at 13 cents. A little cheaper than I like, but again, we're just going to pull information here in these first couple minutes. We'll move strikes around and then start executing. Right, and so we're opening here at about 437. Gonna pick a nice psychological strike of 435. This baby also closed right at Beast, as we can see here. I'm not surprised that these strikes here are gonna open up with some pretty good value here to the upside. Oof, and closed at 72 cents right in our Beast zone here. This is gonna be a nice strike here at open. And again, right, if you would have prepped last night, look through these strikes, you would have seen this, right? This 370 put, nice psychological strike, closed right at Beast. And this 435 put, nice psychological strike, closed right at Beast. So giving us a good look here for what this morning was going to look like, and boom, we got that downside move, right? So it's going to be a nice little open here on these puts. But let's see then, right, if these calls open right at Beast. And again, these are pretty cheap, so I might even move one closer here ultimately to execute on. And alright, here we go, y'all. Ding, ding, ding. Alright, so before I jump back over to my internal screen, let's look at what some of these strikes look like. And oh, okay, opened a little bit better in value than I expected here on the call side. Wow, especially this 373 call. Up at 80 cents. Oof. Alright, let's jump up a little bit here on Qs. Wow, and these puts are opening right at Beast. Very, very interesting. Alright, let's jump over here to my main internal screen. Alright, I was expecting maybe just a bounce right back, but these puts are kind of screaming like they're the ones ready to move here. Right, again, you know, if you guys are with me here frequently, I'm always constantly stressing here this open level, right? This open level is this thick white dashed line right here from our Beast tool. And you guys know I'm always stressing, of course, our main Beast zone, this green highlighted zone here that is static over multiple days. And y'all know that I especially love when this open level opens right at or right around our Beast zone. So I'm going to keep a close eye on these puts here. Right, and again, you know, I hope that, you know, what I'm saying here helps you guys understand how we really interpret our Beast tool with price action, right? I literally before the bell was like, I'm really looking for calls here to go to the upside and bounce at these levels. I mean, and honestly, of course, still a possibility, but with how these puts opened with our tool, I'm a little more interested now in this put side. But again, you know, still not going to just throw out the window everything we talked about here before open, because of course we are at some great levels for a bounce. But I am going to be much more patient than I originally anticipated on the call side. I'm gonna need to see these calls maybe come down to our B zone. But definitely gonna be more patient here before jumping into anything. Definitely want to see which side here, call side or put side, ultimately starts holding above its open levels. Right? Always stressing these open levels. Want to see which contracts defend their open levels. Very important. Oh, and check this out right here, baby. Tick opening right near zero, immediately crossing through zero. We might have us some chop here this morning early into the sesh. So going to be much more patient than I anticipated here for the open. As always, I'm going to be focusing here on the indices, but if you guys call out any individual names in the chat, I will take a quick look at them. Super Levered Beast here just mentioned Amazon real quick, so let me throw up some Amazon, see what it do. Hey, Amazon, nice bounce here so far at the open. Nice hold of that 132. Nice round psychological level here, and a nice boost up to 133. We've got a 30-minute squeeze top on Amazon right here, something to keep an eye on. All right, coming down here to low of day on ES, led here by YM, cracking under that key psychological level of 34,000, right, and also cracking under our open range buy zone right here. And looking over to tech here on the left, NQ holding that high from this week and from yesterday. And we have those highs here stacking right at our open range buy zone on our Beast tool. And again, just a little reminder that our Beast tool is offered on futures indices when you upgrade to a gold subscription. That also includes SPX and will also include things like the dollar down here, and will include ADD, and will include VIX with our Beast tool. And speaking of all these internals, let's dive into them right here. VIX coming up and testing 16. Getting real close here. Let's see what this interaction at 16 looks like. If we get a nice little rejection here at this 16 on VIX, we should see us a nice little bounce here on the market. And NQ looking like she's trying to hold up here. So maybe we do get that bounce, and maybe we get that rejection of VIX at 16. Let's jump down here to ADD, making a little bit of a move here to the downside. Just cracking negative here right at the open, so again, not surprised to see us here near zero as tick open here near zero. Might see some chop here for a few minutes. Getting a little rotation here early, though getting a nice team bounce here now, looking nice. But ultimately had a little bit of downside here in YM to start, and a little bounce in NQ here to start. So getting some early rotation. Right, nothing crazy, nothing too heavy yet, but definitely going to be hesitant here to jump into something early. Right, I did say right before the open, was looking for to maybe jump into a upside position here early after this pullback from the economic data drop we had, right, from CPI, to see if they would engulf right back. And not exactly happening just yet, right? Having a nice move here in Qs, but YM still giving that nod to the downside. Little pullback here in VIX, right at 16, but not exactly rolling over just yet either. ADD going a little bit lower, and tick sitting right at its lows. But again, having these crossovers, right, over zero, kind of giving us maybe a little look here for some chop or for some rotation. And honestly, not surprising, right? As always, you know, they make a nice move here outside of the live session, And then we see some rotation at open, right? We've been seeing that over and over and over again here at the opens. So as always, going to probably just implement my usual strategy here, right? Going to be patient here in these first couple minutes, and going to allow these strikes here to interact with our beast tool, right? So again, I was ultimately looking for some upside here in the market. So going to pay attention here to these calls. For example, this 440 call, really cheap down here at, at about 10 cents, 12 cents. It's sitting at 15 cents. But this is a nice psychological strike. So I'm just going to use this to gather information here for a few minutes. Ultimately what I want to see here, if we do have some upside in store for us, is for SPY right here to continue to hold this open range buy zone from our beast tool, right? That would be this green zone that we're sitting at here right now. So ultimately, if we can hold this zone here, right, I'm expecting like this 440 call to hold its open range buy zone and its beast zone, which are stacked right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. It's a little easier to see. But again, this zone right here is actually two zones stacked on each other. It's a little bit tough to see, but if I go back a little bit right here, you can see this is just our main beast zone, right? And then stacked on top of it is our open range buy zone. Got some different lines here to separate those two. But this gives us a nice combined zone of support. I'm going to look at some closer strikes that are just a little more expensive, right? Don't want to be too cheap here with our selection. And so again, just implementing the same thesis, right? I want to see SPY hold this open range buy zone as this 439 call holds its open range buy zone. And here we can see the zones separated a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in here again. Right, we can see our open range buy zone, a separate green zone from our main beast zone. But again, gotta be careful here. It's only been about 10 minutes. SPY still sitting right at the bottom of this zone. And Q's not really going anywhere, right? Sitting right at their open. But overall, Q's looking like the stronger index. YM trickling a little bit lower, pulling ES a little bit lower here. Gotta be careful. And let's see, we got Watch calling out Microsoft, calling out Apple. Let's take a look at these babies real quick. Amazon pulling back here. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful with tech. Looking good, but it is early, right? Could roll over on us, no problem. Apple here fighting with this 180, right? We were talking about this here in the last couple days. Finally working its way above this 180, but up to our open range sell zone, right? This red zone above, right? These zones are up and below, or above and below here from our open level. Again, this open level is this white dashed line. We have our open range sell zone above, and symmetrically below we have our open range buy zone, right? They're green and they're red, making it nice and easy. So got to be careful here, right? Apple could definitely roll over right at our open range sell zone, but going a little bit higher in it right now. Let's go. And here we have this 180 call on Apple, making a nice little move here off its open level. Didn't even come down to test that open range buy zone. Looking really nice here. And what was that other one? Microsoft. Let's check out Microsoft real quick. Oof, Microsoft with a lot of squeezes here. All these big squeeze clouds right here. We got a 4-hour squeeze cloud to the upside here, a 2-hour squeeze top as well. Oof. Definitely some squeezes to watch out here for Microsoft. Might be tough to crack these to the upside. Definitely going to need the whole market. But getting back over here to our internal screen, VIX now pushing high of day, cracking above 16. Keep an eye on this, right? I want upside after that little drop, but we're still giving a downside look, right? NQ coming all the way back down, punching in a low of day. ES rolling over here a little bit more as well, right? I wanted to hold that 44.10 and we're now below. But again, I talked about it, right? We could have a downside move here to the daily mean. Here at about 43.90, a little bit below 43.90. And also, what do we have down here at this daily mean? We have our destination buy zone, right? This is the absolute bottom of our beast tool. So this could be a nice little target here to the downside for this first half of the session. Right, we see it all the time here throughout an entire session. A nice little move to the downside and then a rocket ship for the rest of the afternoon to go punch high of day. Could be what's in store for us here. Nice little pop back up here for Q's, so Q's still trying to hang on here. But again, I'm not going to jump into upside just yet. Right, I'm going to be patient. Right, we got small accounts here, so we're trying to preserve our capital, right? Save our firepower for the more obvious trades. But again, just looking over to these puts, right? These puts continue to look really good here off of their open level and off of their B zone, right? And we're continuing to have a little downside look. So while I don't want to jump into upside, this downside is looking a little more enticing. But again, still have to be careful here because it's still only been 15 minutes, right? ADD is already down to our destination buy zone. Could totally reverse right here. But again, ultimately still liking these targets to the downside here, especially here on ES. We have this 4400 key psychological level, right? Just a few points below, and then that daily mean really not that far off below that, right? 43.87 here. You know, would really just take us like 20 points negative on the day, 25 points negative on the day. No problem for ES here on a daily basis. VIX up to this open level, right, from pre-market here. The dollar cranking a little bit higher here as well. The dollar cracking through our destination sell zone. So again, I'm a little wary of a reversal here, right, to the upside coming soon. ADD is at our lowest zone on our beast tool, while the dollar is at our highest zone on our beast tool. Would ultimately like to see a reversal here for these internals. But again, still haven't really gone anywhere just yet. Little drop here at the open so far. Puts just holding their value here right at their open levels, right at our B zones. So still liking what how these puts are looking like. But ultimately as well on the internals, liking maybe a bounce here. So again, you know, I'm not really sure what to do right here. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer and allow this to become more clear. Right, especially with smaller accounts, right, we have to be careful here with the shots we take. We need to be extra picky. appreciate that, Browsy. I definitely try to stress that the most here. You know, just being patient, right? You have a whole day to trade still. You know, don't need to unleash all your firepower here at open, especially when right at open is when we see the most manipulation. Always just trying to gather information here, especially in these first 30 minutes. Just kind of let things unfold. You know, because it's many times, right, pretty much every day, we see it all the time, especially here with our beast tool. You know, if these puts do start to work, right, they're going to make a nice move here off of our zone, right, and off of its open level as we make a downside move here on the market, right? But eventually there's going to be a pop, right, and a reload to go lower. And especially here on these 0-day contracts, this will come right back down to this open level, right? So let's say this goes here from our open level at 68, call it 70 cents or so. And this makes a move up to, let's call it our open range sell zone. Right, you go from about 70 cents to about $1.50. That's about a double. Right, and we make a nice downside move. Ultimately, we're going to get a bounce to retest some levels, right, before we go lower. This is going to come right back down, very likely, at least to our beast level here, if not that open level. And then, you know, a very typical thing, especially if we continue the trend to the downside, is we get that lowercase h, right? And then we continue lower. So then this will come back to its open level. We already have confirmed that this contract is going to respect our beast levels, and it's a strike that they are interested in, right? Big money and retail. And then we're just going to do the same move, but now the second time, right? And if we just continue a downside trend here for a couple hours, we might get that same move here like 4 or 5 times. So again, no need to rush in at open here. Just gotta let these things unfold. And again, always looking to both sides, right? These calls are getting real close to beast here, right? It could be these calls that ultimately bang here after just giving a fake look to the downside. I know a lot of us, especially if you're a newer trader, right, we just want to show up and just start pulling the trigger. That's a very easy way to take your $300 or $500 or $800 account to zero, right? Just gotta be patient here. Especially on a day where we got CPI, right? We got PPI yesterday. We got non-farm payroll today as well. You know, a lot of economic data that can be perceived all kinds of ways and ultimately leaves you kind of just lost as a retail trader. But anyone here new to predicted trades, right, here watching us on the stream, if you would like, you can totally join our Discord for free with the link in this video description. As soon as you join, we provide tons of free tools here and free market education. You know, if you're newer to options, we have a ton of resources here for you to really curb everything that you need to learn for options. And we provide, of course, some great tools. We have a couple free tools as well. I'll give a little tour around the Discord here in a little bit, but still early here, so I'm going to just stick with the charts for now. Nice pullback here in VIX, right? Love to see this for some upside. Back below 16. Let's see if we start to pop here, right? And I'm looking for an end to rotation as well. You know, I want to see NQ and YM start popping together. Right? I don't want to see NQ with a green candle and YM with a red candle. Right? I want them to have the same colored candle here. because then that means we'll actually go somewhere. So we got YM here at yesterday's open. A little harder to see here, but this is yesterday's open right here, this thicker but smaller white dotted line right here. Also have an old point of control right at this level. Could be a nice little spot for YM to hold, but let's see, starting to crack below it now. Really love to see ES though at this 4,400. This should be a great level for a bounce. But again, I'm not going to just dive in here on the first candle, right? I want to see the dollar start to roll over and come back below our destination sell zone, right? At the same time, I want to see ADD start to put in some green candles down here at our destination buy zone. If we're to get some upside, right, need to see tick start to really work its way above zero and start printing some candle bodies above zero. So again, at a critical point here, for my more advanced options traders, not a bad spot to take a shot here on the call side if you want to try a little knife catch, right? It's not too bad right now. It's not like we're falling hard, but again, still at a critical level that we could roll over and die. So just got to be careful if you are going to take a shot here on the call side, but I don't mind the levels we're at. Could be a good one. And of course, just always looking to the other side, right? Always looking to the other side to gauge the move of what I, am watching, right? So if I'm trying to get in an upside, I'm also gauging the downside with the puts, right? These puts continue to hold our B zone and its open level. And oh, we're getting a little bit of a drop in SPY here. But Q's still holding nicely right at this open range buy zone. So if YM eventually decides to turn around here, and we're arriving here at our destination buy zone, right, Q's is probably going to give a nice upside look. But again, have to be careful with that rotation. They could be assholes here and then turn up YM and then let NQ start to drop. But as of right now, Q's looking pretty strong. Right, and at some of those individual tech names we were looking at, they were holding up pretty decently. But again, continuing to look at our internals here, right, ADD continuing to push low of day, now right at the bottom of our destination buy zone. Let's see if we can hold here, right, VIX popping up to high of day, back up through 16, held it nicely, causing ES here to drop a little bit under that 4,400. Again, the scenario we're talking about here is coming back down and tapping this daily mean. And just a reminder, right, this game is all about psychology. Way more than it is about numbers, it is about psychology, right? So our beast tool here is a good way to kind of keep you in check against them, using this psychology against you, right? It's really easy to look at all of these charts, right, and in general, especially after that CPI drop, to just be like, oh, I'm going to knife catch this at these key psychological levels, and we're going to run to the upside, right? Exactly what I was talking about before open and right at the open. But what has kept me in check in not jumping into that upside, it has been these puts respecting our beast levels, right? If I didn't have these two charts here showing that they are holding these puts right at this same value, right at their open levels or better, I probably would have already jumped into the call side and been stressed out. And so, you know, again, my overall like bias here, right, is to the upside. But again, you know, I'm not going to fall for it because these puts are holding up here decently. Hell, this 435 put has already printed a double off of its lows here at its open level. A little bit over 50 cents, currently sitting here at $1. But kind of a tough one, right? Don't really expect anyone to jump in on this at the open. But again, I'm just looking for this to then happen again, right? And I'll jump in the second time. But as always, before open, right, I prepped both directions, right? I talked about downside and I talked about upside. And for right now, we're getting that downside play, right? Again, it wasn't something that I was highly interested in, but it was something that I was hyper aware about. And the best thing you can do when you're thrown for a little bit of a loop, right, is to just do nothing. Don't do anything, right? You don't have to be in a trade at all times. You definitely don't have to trade every single day, right? Sometimes the best thing you can do is just sit here and gather information. Especially as a day trader, right? I trade short-term stock options, right? You know, I don't really care that much about overall direction over the course of many days, right? Especially since I trade same day contracts or next day contracts, I'm more concerned about just the next leg, right? But I can't let that get to me either. You know, gotta be patient here and just let things unfold. So especially when they do throw us for a little bit of confusion and what I expected my next leg to be ultimately doesn't happen, right? I'm not going to just panic and jump into the downside, especially when we've seen so much rotation at open here in the last couple weeks. But I'm really liking these levels we're getting to, right? YM is now down in this destination buy zone. We've also got a little squeeze bottom down here, a 2-hour squeeze bottom. Okay, that has popped up right here. I like that. Again, looking for ADD to turn up here at our destination buy zone. You know, we have broken below it a little bit, but again, that doesn't mean we don't just start to slowly build our way back up into it, right? And same with tick here. Tick printing overall to the downside, right, to the negative, but not completely running away from us, right? Trying to stay close to zero here. Let's see if we start to turn up here kind of soon. YM is not too far off from yesterday's low, right? And we have the daily 8 exponential moving average right here in this cyan or teal color. So ultimately, we could get down here on YM to yesterday's low, gets us on ES to this daily mean. A little hard to see this daily mean here now, as it is stacked pretty much right at the bottom of our destination buy zone, but it is here at this tan bubble of 43.86 and some change. So ultimately, if we can get down here on YM, get down here on ES, hold both of these levels, tech continues just to hold where it's at, we should have a nice move to the upside as a whole team. So again, just going to continue to be patient here for my upside entry, right? The downside is already a little bit more gone than I want it to be for me to jump in, right? And we've seen some good value out of this put already. You know, this put has already printed a double, right? I'm not going to chase it up here for a couple more cents, especially now the higher this goes or the lower the market goes, the closer and the more probable a bounce becomes. I'm going to get a little bit closer here on the QQQ calls, right? A little cheap here at these 15 cents. But again, right, I was on this 375 call because it's a bigger psychological strike, right? I know it's going to have good volume. And so I'm just pulling data from it, right? I'm just pulling information from this strike. And ultimately, we're seeing a nice hold here right at this open range buy zone, right? Especially as QQQ is doing the same, right? QQQ is also holding this open range buy zone. So if the whole market does turn up here, these are going to be some nice contracts on the call side for QQQ. We're going to jump a little bit closer here, see something with a little more value. And again, liking this 374 call, holding right at this open range buy zone. This 438 call is getting real close to beast here. So again, more and more of my charts are arriving at locations that I would maybe start to expect a bounce. And again, this bounce could come really soon, right? You don't have to necessarily get down to the daily mean. We don't have to necessarily get down to this low from yesterday on YM, right? If anything, a little bounce just above these levels will show a little bit more relative strength. And again, we're only 2 points off from this 4,400. So ultimately, right, 2 little candles below, maybe we get back above, you know, that is an easy way to just say that we did hold that 4,400, even with a couple candles below. But ultimately, we are here at this psychological level. Let's see if we can hold. Nice little bounce up here from tech. Trying to hold up here on Qs. Been about 25 minutes, y'all. Still getting some good volume here out of these indices. Q's bouncing a little bit higher. Might make a little run on high of day here on QQQ. But again, coming up to test this destination, or this open range sell zone. And the put starting to give out here. This 370 put coming down to low of day. So this is what I was talking about, right? This is typically what I'm looking for in my strikes, right? For this open level to be on this beast zone. But again, because of market conditions this morning, had to be careful. Right, how to be careful with this, even though this is the typical setup I like. But again, thrown for a little loop here this morning, right, with that economic data, would rather just be patient. And let's see what we're getting out of this 374 call so far. So holding this open range buy zone at about 30 cents, just made a move up to about 55 cents. Not too shabby here. Are we getting rotation though? Still kind of getting some rotation though, right? YM not really popping here with the rest of the market. A little pop to hold, but nothing special here so far. Professor, if you're listening, could you check out the Free Beast Thursday chat? Someone seems to be having an issue. And anyone else too, just a little reminder, it is Free Thursday today. If you are a free member listening in and watching along, just a reminder that you can test out our Beast tool for free here today on options contracts only. For SPY, for Apple, Tesla, QQQ, I think a couple other names. So you can follow along with me here on the screen, but also on your own screen if you use Think or Swim. Alright, so getting a nice bounce here out of Qs, but YM not going anywhere, right? Still not really fully believing in this move in NQ. Coming up to our open range sell zone on NQ. Tick not printing here above 0. ADD looking pretty flat here at low of day. But VIX getting a little bit of a rejection here at our open range sell zone. But let's see, holding above this open level, we might get some more downside here. Not really trusting this bounce in Qs. ES with a little peek back above 4,400 here. And again, still no trades here this morning, y'all. But I'm liking this 435 put here, right? Made a nice move off open. Coming back down like we were talking about, right? Let's see if they reload this move and do it again. Q's really popping here though. Nice little move for Q's. Right, and I talked about it, right? I said for my more advanced options traders, we're having a nice little hold here on Q's, and we're getting a nice move out of these contracts now. So not a bad move here if you did jump into it. Hey, getting a nice clean double now from this 374 call. Let's go. Nice little move in Qs. Oh, baby. Getting up near a squeeze top here on QQQ. Got a 30-minute squeeze top up here. Tick still mostly negative though. ADD not really going anywhere. VIX helping us out a little bit here though. Cracking below 16. YM getting a little bit of a pop here now as well. And again, playing out here what we talked about, right, a bit. Didn't get quite down to the mean or down to that daily 8, right, or yesterday's low in YM. But we did get that pop. And yeah, you know, we had a nice move, not in it, but I'm not upset about it either, right? I don't love how these internals looked here for this pop. Yeah, you know, some of these call contracts had a nice move that I wasn't in, but that's okay, right? Not going to get any FOMO here because I know that some more clear trades will come later. And this is ultimately what we might end up seeing here maybe for the rest of the morning. A nice pop up. We test this 5-minute mean, right? This is the 5-minute 21 exponential moving average, right? Still in this tan line, but this one is dashed on my screen. We could see a rollover right here, right, and go lower. Internals are kind of pointing to it still. Down to 16 here on VIX, could start to bounce. We're kind of close to this 435 put up here at about 70 cents. I'm going to do something a little cheaper for you guys, right? I know a lot of us got small accounts. I'm going to take a little shot here on this 434 put. See if we end up rejecting VWAP here ultimately and rolling over. So I'm going to buy 2 here at about 38 cents. $0.39. Come on, let me in, baby. Alright, I've got 2 contracts here of the 434 put on SPY at about 39 cents. Just a little bit under beast. If you can afford it though, I definitely recommend playing this 435, right? Or anything closer. If you can afford it, get closer. Always, always, always. But I'm going to grab 2 contracts here, right? I'm in 2 contracts. And ultimately, my play is trying to use one contract to pay for the other contract, right? Or at least a portion. So I'm in here at about 40 cents, right? We just came from about 70 cents, 75 cents. So ultimately here, looking to sell one contract maybe near the top of beast, right? I have contracts here at 40 cents. If I can sell one at about 70 cents, right, that covers most of my second contract. So then I can let that second contract run more freely to the upside, right? I'm going to have less stress because a portion of that contract, a majority portion of that contract is paid for. So that means, you know, if I want this contract to hit over $1, right, or get into our open range sell zone, I'm going to be able to allow it to work its way up there with less stress, right? If I can sell one of these contracts here at about 70 cents, right, that means I've earned 30 cents from this 40 cent mark, which means I could ultimately eat 30 cents below this before I'm red on the position. I hope that makes sense to you guys. But ultimately, it's just a strategy to protect my peace, right? That's what we're looking to do the most here while we're day trading. Protect our mental peace. And we do that by trimming contracts, right? So starting to get this rejection here a little bit, right where we expected, right? Q's got up to this 30-minute and what, 1 hour? Yep, a 1 hour squeeze top right here. Little rejection, and we're back down to our open range sell zone. Our open range sell zone will act as support once we start testing it from above. Just because it's called a sell zone doesn't mean that it won't act as support, right? All of our levels here from our beast tool will be both support or resistance depending on the side you are testing it from. And again, always looking to the call side to continue to gauge my downside move. right? If we start to see support, maybe here at VWAP on this call, then I'm going to worry a little bit more about my put, right? But ultimately, I want to see this call come back down to low of day so that my put will gain some value. But I like where we're at so far, right? We came up, we rejected here VWAP on SPY, got the 5-minute 21 right there as well. And most importantly, we have a nice exit plan, right? My exit plan is if we crack above VWAP here, right, or crack above our open range buy zone, this green zone right here, I'm going to start thinking about bailing out on this position, right? But we have some good resistance right at our point of exiting, right? So we hopefully have a little bit more wind in our sails here to come back down. And again, still seeing some rotation here, right? Now NQ pulling back a little bit and YM popping. And oh, we're starting to get a little bit of an upside look here from our internals, right? Tick up to almost high of day, but peaking positive. And ADD starting to put in some green candles down here. And VIX starting to crack under 16, right? So these are all things I'm looking for to maybe gauge me getting out of this position or holding on to it, right? We're kind of right at the cusp of all the things I need to see work or not work, right? So right now, I don't want tick to go green, right? I want tick to remain negative for my puts to work, right? I want ADD to continue to roll over for my puts to work. So again, you know, I have some exposure here to the downside, right? But it's a small position. It's not going to break me, and I'm prepared for this to take a little drawback. Right? I'm only in here in 2 contracts. And again, we're still seeing some rotation here, right? We don't have really clear moves here. The direction is not clear. The internals are not clear. So again, you know, I'm taking a higher risk trade here, but I just want a little bit of exposure in case we do roll over. As usual, I'm just looking for a good level to put on risk, and we got that. Right? A good level to put on risk is typically a retest of some level, right? And again, you know, I chose to jump in right at a point where we had a lot of resistance. And the point of doing that is that I will quickly know if I'm wrong, right? If we crack through that resistance, I'm only going to lose a little bit of value, but I'm going to quickly know that I was wrong and I can get out for a small cut. And again, we have some slower price action here. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if we do pop and go higher. Right? That's very possible. They're just slowly kind of waiting here, just pumping some rotation. You know, no one really knows if this is going to pop higher or break lower right here. Right? Anyone who tells you that is full of it. But again, I'm just taking a shot at a key level, right, at a great place to put on some risk, and just waiting to see if it plays out in my direction. I have no idea if it's going to play out in my direction, but I have an exit plan, I have a take profit plan, and I'm in at some good levels, right? That's all you can ask for when day trading here on the market. And getting a little bit of a pop here. Q's holding up at our open range sell zone. But again, not really going anywhere. So just waiting, right? Just gotta wait. We're holding this open level on my put. Right, I'm down $4 right now. Life is still good. So here, just expecting or hoping for an H right at VWAP here on SPY. Again, we start to crack higher here through this zone. I'm going to start thinking about bailing. Right, depending on how strong the pop is and what our internals look like, I might actually average down. VIX fading a little bit more here under 16. But again, coming down here to our open range buy zone. Could see a little bounce in VIX here, and then we go lower. And just a reminder, right, especially for anyone here who is a newer trader, a day like today is a tough day of trading, especially after a drop like CPI, right? And of course that comes pre-market. They make a strong move pre-market, right? And kind of throws us for a little loop. So it's especially important on days like today to really try and disconnect emotions from the market, right? Accept that it's easy to be wrong on a day like today, right? It's hard to gauge which direction they're going to ultimately go. And if you just continue to think about that over and over again, and you're going to be upset maybe about getting a little bit burned, it's going to be a really tough day for you. So it's better to just accept that you're taking a shot here, right? We're just taking a shot here, staying on the correct side of all the levels I've been talking about, right? And we're just going to wait and see if it unfolds, right? I'm fully prepared for this to not work out and for me to have to bail out and take a cut, right? I'm fully prepared for that. I'm not going to be upset about it. Because just as easily as that could happen, we could totally rip in our direction, right? Roll over and die, and then we're making some lunch money. But again, no clue what's going to be the next move. I know that I'm in a good spot, right? My entry is in a great spot. I just got to let it play out here. Right, and the more time we spend in this flag, right, the less we know what's coming, right? The more of a lottery this becomes if we bounce or if we drop. But so far, right, ES under this 5-minute 21, ES under VWAP here, NQ coming back below our open range sell zone, having a little bit of trouble there. Right, I'm still feeling okay in my put position. Gonna look at some other names right quick. See some peeps talking about in the chat. Gonna look over here to Apple again. Ooh, Apple here cranking a little bit higher up to 182. Apple, of course, the biggest name on the market, right? The biggest name in the S&P. Always have to keep an eye on Apple here to see where we're going. Apple will ultimately drag us around, but Apple here really charging up today with the rest of the market kind of not really doing that much, right? And even dropping some. So I don't really think market is fully ready to go. even though Apple is pumping here. Oh, and we've got a nice little pump here to the upside, maybe led by Apple. And I know we were talking about, what was it, Amazon over here as well. Amazon, really nice pump here up to this daily 50 and destination sell zone. Got to be careful there. And all right, taking a nice little bounce here up to VWAP on ES and back up to yesterday's high. Ooh, an NQ coming up here and punching a little high of day. Let's see what our put looks like. Probably taking a little damage over here, down to 25 cents and low of day, but just peaking under this open level. So gonna be patient here. I am interested in averaging down a little bit, but again, I need to see, you know, again, the market stall here and not crack through this high from yesterday or VWAP here on ES, right? Could be a little head fake and then we roll back over, right? And even already getting it right back down to this range. And coming right back up near our entry here on this put. Oof, came all the way back down. We might get that rollover. See, again, you know, this is confusing, right? This is very confusing. So again, I'm not going to overthink my position, right? Looks like we're going to blast off and get some upside, and then boom, engulfs all the way back. Wow, really all the way back. Maybe just shaking out some stops here. We'll see. So again, not going to stress my position, right? Boom, all the way back to green. Shit, should have averaged down a little quicker there. But all good, right? Still got my 2 contracts. Still sitting a couple bucks green. Life is still good here. Not going to stress. But ultimately, right, just going nowhere, right? So I still don't want to have a big position, right? Because I could still be wrong here, right? If anything, they kind of just gave a little look saying, hey, you might be wrong. But boom, engulfed all the way back. Let's just see what we get here. And just coming back down here, checking out some volume, right? Had some decent volume on this 5-minute candle, right? Of course, gave us the boost and engulfed right back though. But definitely some sellers in the way here, right? Saying, we're not going higher here. Not just yet, at least. But still, you know, ultimately not really loving what I'm seeing here across the board. I don't really love either side, right? I've got my exposure here on the downside, but I'm not really convinced on downside. I'm not really convinced on upside, right? Still not clear trades here. So again, if you're not in a position, right, and you're not sure what position you want to be in, right, what direction, just don't do anything yet. You don't have to do anything, right? The market is like a pitching machine. It has to keep pitching, but you don't ever have to swing. Upside looking tough here though. This 438 call got right up to our open range buy zone and rejected right at it to the cent. Also nice, a key level here, a key psychological level of about 50 cents. And again, getting a little pop here in the puts. Just up a couple cents, but still not really going anywhere yet, right? VIX with a nice hold here right at our open range buy zone. And right back down to psychological level here, 4,400. Right, and tick still just overall living negative, right? This is kind of the reason why I'm in puts here, right? And this very, very just ugly base here on ADD. You know, I don't want to try and fight this trend, right? The trend here is overall to the downside, right? I'm just trying to get in here with the current. Even if the current is a little bit slow right now, right? Not trying to swim against the current here. I'm gonna be right back, y'all. I gotta pee. Ah, man, I was hoping a trip to the bathroom would trigger it. The leads start dropping. Definitely some frustrating price action this morning, but again, you know, definitely not unexpected, right? We see a lot of chop and a lot of rotation, you know, a lot of the opens recently, but especially on the days that we get some economic data. And still just seeing a lot of rotation here, right? And just a lot of things pulling at each other. You know, tech continues to look really great here. Right, QQQ holding above VWAP, holding above this 5-minute 21. Right, this 374 call, or all the calls in general, holding up here. This one at its open level. And again, getting a nice little bounce here. So still ultimately just not convinced on any direction just yet. I've got my downside exposure, but I don't really love it. Just a waiting game here, y'all. But for those of you not in a trade and looking for a trade, right, and you don't want to get in this mess, just wait, right? Eventually they will move, right? The pitching machine has to keep pitching. Ultimately, there will be a move. Don't know when it's going to be, but you can totally just wait for it, right? Just wait for us to start to break out of this range, right? Crack this low of day or crack this high of day. And then likely after that crack of high of day or crack of low of day, there will be a retest of that level, right? And then from there, either go higher or go lower. Those are great entries as well. Or like we were talking about this morning, that original scenario, right? We get down to this daily mean and then we start to bounce, right? Could still play out here. We got down to a decent level. Yesterday's open here on ES, right? Got a nice pop, starting to kind of put in that H. We maybe flush this lowercase h, right? If y'all can see it here, lowercase h. Flush it to this daily mean, and then we start to work our way back up. Very possible scenario here this morning. And again, YM here shaping up this H a little bit better. But still, YM at some good levels for support could be a bounce. And again, this is the frustrating part, right? These charts are looking like they're at a good place for a bounce, but these internals are not really playing along. Right, my put is still green here. It's just sitting at these levels. I'm still not really convinced of downside. But just going to keep my exposure. Again, my position size is small, so if this goes against me, I'm not going to cry about it. And just more waiting here. I will take this opportunity real quick while we are just very slow right here to just give a quick look around our Discord. So once you pop in to our Discord, right, again, the link is available directly in the description of this video. You can join our Discord for free. And when you jump into our Discord here, you're going to have some resources out the gate here And especially if you're newer to options or to futures or whatever, to just trading in general, definitely some great resources for you here. So especially here, starting with this education center, got a bunch of channels here. This is immediately available to you as soon as you join our Discord. Got a great channel here on market psychology, right, and how psychology is ultimately the biggest thing here for the market. And if you're new to options, right, would definitely recommend this like intro lessons, this what the F. These internals, if you are not familiar with like tick, ADD, VIX, right, I got a good channel here just talking about internals, couple videos too. Would definitely recommend that. We are in this live trading room every single day, chatting up about the market, right? So as a free member, you are welcome to jump in here and view this channel every day. Only on Thursdays, though, for a free Thursday, can you actually speak in this channel. But yeah, every Thursday we do a free Thursday. You can try out our Beast tool here for free on a couple of options contracts here for some of our bigger names. But once you do subscribe, you can subscribe here at the bottom. Once you do subscribe, you'll have the Beast tool on many more names like equities themselves. If you go to gold, you'll have it on futures as well as SPX. And then also separately here, and you don't have to be a member to access this, but if you come down here to Professor's Indicators, we do sell some tool packs, and we do even give away some free tools. Here you can get a couple of free tools, especially this trend tool here, definitely a fan favorite. Grab this for free if you haven't yet. And this trend tool just provides all these little gold dotted lines over here. You see these are just trend lines that automatically plot, right? Maybe a little hard to see here on this NQ chart, but I've got these smaller dotted gold lines producing a wedge right here, right? I didn't put that wedge there. This just automatically plotted itself right there. And as price action continues, it'll plot new wedges, new megaphones, etc., etc. But if you come up here and check out our Professor's Tool Belt, you'll get a bunch of tools here for a one-time fee of $100. These are yours to keep forever. Some more popular ones are, of course, these squeeze clouds, right? These squeeze clouds here. These are multi-time frame squeeze clouds. So here you can see I'm on a 5-minute chart, and this is a 30-minute squeeze. And I know I have showed some other ones here this morning, right? This is another 30-minute. This one is a 2-hour, if I'm not mistaken, a 2-hour. And just looking over here, what was it? I think it was Microsoft. Ton of squeezes, right? So these squeeze clouds will pop up on your chart automatically for different time frames, whatever you set them to, and you can see exactly where these zones of resistance are or zones of support. Right, we bounce right here at these squeeze bottoms, and we are rejecting right here at these squeeze tops. Very typical place for us here at Predicted Trades. And then another popular one, of course, is here this point of control column. This allows you to plot these levels on your chart, right? This gives us our most recent high level of liquidity here on any chart. An easy one to just chart on your chart, and you have a nice level to play off with that point of control. And okay, we're having some moves here. Let's see what our contract did here at least. So our 434 put a little bit higher here, got up to about 60 cents, kind of close to 60 cents, and then engulfed all the way back down. Right, so again, not going anywhere here so far. Some very frustrating price action, right? If you're not in a position, I just, don't really recommend getting into one now. Right, or if you do, just keep small exposure, right? Again, I'm just in here at 39 cents. I got 2 contracts only. And we're just crossing here back and forth over my entry, right? Not really anything special happening here. But keeping an eye on these calls, right? This 438 call now down to our B zone, right to the center right here. Maybe we do get an upside move here pretty soon. This 374 call got back down to our open range buy zone. Right, gotta be a little quick for this one, but not bad here, right? We're just trying to see and gather information on what they're doing. So this 374 call got down to about 35 cents or so, and then blasted back up to 57 cents. A nice little move here. And again, looking over to these internals, right? Tick, another reach positive, but smacked right back down to negative, right? ADD, little tiny upside, but coming right back to low of day. This pop here on ES getting kind of close again to this 5-minute 21, but not really getting through. VIX got back above 16 here, right to that open level and rejected, but staying here near 16, right? If we continue to punch in this trend here, higher on VIX should give us our downside on the market. ADD here trickling low of day. So hard to say still, hard to say. Overall, right, still dripping here from this high on Qs, from this little peak here on SPY. But nothing convincing so far. Gonna look here at some of these bigger psychological strikes on SPY. So I'm gonna jump back up to this 440 just to see how it's doing. This 438 is at beast. I'm assuming this is under beast. Yep. So let me actually jump up to like this 435 call, which is pretty much right where we're at. Just want to see the interactions we're getting here. So this 435 call, obviously plenty of room to go to beast. Not surprised since we're pretty much right there. But for my put, right, I do like to see this rejection right at this open range buy zone, pretty much to the cent here. And coming down, right? Struggling here with VWAP. Should continue to help out my put. We're going to stick here with this 438 since it's sitting right at beast. Total snooze fest here. But I would like to point out another thing here. Looking at this put that I'm in, right? Still sitting here right at my entry. But I wanted to point out, here with us at Predicted Trades, if you are new to us, right, maybe you're also new to looking at an option contract on a chart, right? This is something that we don't find that many services provide. Actually, we haven't really seen anyone looking at options contracts. And even less, right, giving you levels on an option contract. So what I wanted to stress here is my ability to stay in this contract even after a lot of chop, right? So typically, right, if you are newer to us and you're an options trader, you hop in an option and then you're probably looking at your phone, right, at the P&L. Right, it goes green, it goes red, it goes green, it goes red. And a lot of times, a lot of retail traders especially, right, you and I, get shaken out after so many crosses of green and red, right? Eventually, if you are a good and consistent trader, you're like, you know what, I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm not going to allow myself to get burned on a gamble, right? It's turning into a gamble as opposed to a calculated trade. But here at Predicted Trades, right, because we're looking here at the option chart itself and we have levels on this option chart, right, we can tolerate staying in a little bit longer. And why is that, right? Because we have these levels that we are just paying attention to, right? We have our lines in the sand here keeping us in the game. Eventually you do get out because you're like, I don't want to keep crossing back and forth, which is fine. You should do that. However, here with our tools, right, we're able to tolerate this a little bit longer because we can see the overall price action on this contract, right? And then again, like I keep saying, we also compare to the other side, right? I'm looking at the call side here and also comparing this price action. And overall, it's easier to see when I'm looking at an actual chart, right, the levels that they are defending. And as always, I stress this open level, especially on a contract, right? We're here defending this open level. So I'm going to keep staying in this contract until we stop defending this open level. And just keeping it as simple as that. Right, again, this is where they get us with market psychology. There's so much you could think and you could perceive from this morning's price action. But that just hurts my brain, right? And I definitely don't want to carry all these thoughts for the rest of the day about how much I sucked or how much the market sucked or whatever, right? I'm just trying to be a little robot right here. So I'm not going to do anything else until we get some moves. Right? I'm not going to do anything with this contract until we hit like 70 cents or we hit like low of day, right? Until one of those happens, I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to stress myself out with what this market is doing or not doing, right? I just don't care, right? I'm in a small position, so I'm not going to get burned either way, right? I have some exposure in case we do get the move that I'm seeking. But ultimately, whatever happens in between is something I'm just not going to spend my daily mental gas tank on, right? We all have a daily gas tank, and unfortunately for us traders, we expend a lot of our gas tank right here, right? And to us who have a significant other at home, right, or you got kids or you got whatever to deal with after you walk away from the screens, it's very easy to carry this with you all day, right? And again, like I was saying earlier, I'm just trying to protect my mental peace here, and this tool allows me to do that, right? I'm not expending my mental gas tank on thinking what is going to happen, what if this happens, what if that happens. Just staying cool and just waiting. right? Just waiting, not overthinking what's going to happen. Because like I said earlier, right? No effing idea what we get from here, upside or downside, right? No one knows what's going to happen next, right? So why waste your mental gas tank on trying to figure it out? All you're doing is building a bias, and then if you are wrong, it's going to really hurt, right? Not just financially, but also mentally. Hell, and if it affects you enough, maybe spiritually. So again, just not going to stress here, just going to keep waiting. We get a bounce, we get a drop, we get a bounce. Just can't care about it. Well, while we're here waiting, I'm going to show you guys another little something here as well. People ask me all the time how I operate, how I execute. And I know I've been showing it here, but I haven't really talked about it. So ultimately here, I execute on Active Trader, right? Available in any of your charts, this little AT here on the side. Once you open this, typically you will see a bunch of big buttons here, all kinds of stuff, and I removed all those big buttons because I don't need any of those big buttons. Let me see if I can see an example here. No. Maybe this one. No. Alright, but you know, you get some more information here, whatever. I removed all of this extra stuff, and I just have the auto send on. So here, this allows me to just click and execute orders from either side, right? So basically, you know, from here as well, you can set up conditional orders, you can set up brackets, right? So here, I'm going to set a little stop loss here of about 19 cents, right? I'll sell both down here, and then boom, I have a stop order placed right here. All right, this is about a 50% drawback on my position. Now I'm trading a 0-day contract, so obviously big swings in price can happen with little moves on the equity. So I'm allowing myself some room to play. Right here at about a 50% drawback is where I will ultimately call it quits. At the same time though, I can also set a take profit above. So I said I'm going to go to 1 here. Right, I'm going to set up 1 take profit at about, I'm going to set it up here at our beast top, right? Our beast top is 69 cents here. And I like that right before a psychological level of 70 cents. Right? Sometimes they get real close to psychological levels and then just don't quite make it there and they don't feel you. So I like to, you know, get in there a little bit before. So I'm going to set a stop at, or a take profit at 69 cents. You might get another little screen that pops up that says, oh, this is not what I was expecting. Usually it sets up a bracket for me. Not sure what the issue is. But typically I'm able to set up take profits as well as a stop loss at the same time. Oh, there we go. Not sure what the issue was there. Maybe because I had both up right here. Let me see. Let me see. Here we go. This is what I was expecting. And I won't let me drag it. But so right now I have on my other screen popped up a little screen that says, would you like to create an OCO order? So I'm hitting accept. And now you can see I have this bracket here on the left, right, which represents my bracket order. And so I have a stop loss here of both my contracts at 20 cents. And I have a take profit at 69 cents. Right, so now I can also just walk away from this and it'll handle itself, right? I'm gonna log off here pretty soon and wrap up my session. And I'm going to walk away from the screens and I'm just not going to give a damn about this because it's going to manage itself, right? And on my phone, I'm going to start getting the notifications of your order was filled, hopefully filled to the upside. So for right now, I'm just going to leave this just like this, right? If it goes against me, I will bail out at about a 50% drawback, just losing here about 38 bucks, right? Nothing crazy down here. And I'm going to have a take profit here at 69 cents, right? This is telling me what my profit is for both contracts. So I'm going to get half of this on this first one, right? I'm going to get 30 bucks if we make it up here. And then I will still have my second contract, right? And like we talked about earlier, that second contract will now be mostly paid for, right? I've got about a 10 cent gap that isn't paid for. So I can definitely tolerate some extreme downside, especially if we're up here at 70 cents, right? Probably not going to go back to 10 cents. And so from there, I'll get the notification that I have sold a contract here at 69 cents, and then I can start to manage that last contract. And hopefully that baby goes to the moon. But just a nice little way here to set up orders. I do love this auto send, right? I don't have to like send an order and then confirm the order on another screen, and then you confirm it too slow, so then you didn't get filled because the market's moving. Nah, fuck all that. I click here once, I'm in. I click on the other side, I'm out, right? So this auto send here is critical. And I take out all the big buttons because I don't need them, right? I just choose here how many contracts I want, 1, 3, 5. You can up and down one at a time as well. And we're making moves here, right? If I want 20 contracts, it'll say sell 20 or buy 20. And then you can also drag and drop them from here, right? If I want this at 19 cents, I drag, I drop it, it moves it to 19 cents and confirms to me that it moved to my order. Total snooze fest here this morning, y'all. Total snooze fest. And again, the more time we just spend here sideways, the less, I'm taking into consideration all these internals, right? Even though tick here is mostly printing negative all morning, they'll light this up here in a matter of seconds, right? Or in a matter of minutes. It'll jump to the upside and then just start printing positive candles for an extended time, and we start to make an upside move, right? That's very possible. Same thing with like VIX over here, right? We are punching some price action under this 16. Talking about the opposite here, right? If we were to crack above 16, we start to get downside in the market. Even though we're printing a lot under 16, this will change in a flash, no problem. But ultimately, a snooze fest here this morning. Just killing premium on both sides here, calls and puts. Won't be surprised if we get the move here late lunch or late afternoon. But just continue to keep an eye on these contracts, right? This 438 call holding beast nicely now, right? Tides could start to turn here to the upside. Same thing with these calls on QQQ. Still doing a good job here of holding this open range buy zone. But again, like we were just talking about for those internals here on my other screen, could all change in a flash, right? These things fail, crack under these levels, and those levels become permanent resistance. But again, I'm not overthinking all those things. I'm just aware of all of them happening, but I'm not going to stress about them, right? I can't control any of it. No one knows which way we're going from here. Just have to let go, right? I got some exposure to the downside. Could easily be upside, right? So if you want exposure to the upside, just do it, right? Just do it and take a shot. We're at a great place to just take a shot either direction. As long as we keep holding these levels, it's all good. But again, we have some 0-day contracts here. So as we just keep going sideways, all of these contracts are going to lose value. If you want to be extra safe, play tomorrow's contracts, right? Tomorrow's contracts are going to hold their value much better than these contracts are. And when we do make the move, they're going to make a great move as well, right? They're going to make a great move and have less to recover if it does go against you a little bit. Would highly recommend at this point trading tomorrow's contracts. And actually here, before I log off, just going to take a quick look at tomorrow's contracts. So I'm just going to jump up here to the 13th. And I'm going to jump a little farther, right, because we're adding an extra day. We can go out a little farther. I want to see a nice psychological strike here of this 440 call for tomorrow. And again, a nice little look here, trying to hold our open range buy zone, right? Not a bad look here for this call. Going to jump here to tomorrow on QQQ as well, putting in the 13th for tomorrow. And let's see this 375 call, right? I'm looking for these bigger psychological strikes and what their interactions look like. And so this 375 call here took a little dip to our open range buy zone, right? Printed a double. Again, this is a contract for tomorrow. Printed a double and has come back here to hold our open level. Really nice looking contract here. Right, really like these for upside. And again, we can totally get some upside here. Right, no problem. Starting to really drip down here on my puts. Not too far off here from my cut level. And again, gonna jump up here on this put to the 13th on QQQ. I'll leave it at 370. Oh, in this 370 put here, right to not only our B zone, but also our open range buy zone, stacked here on top of each other perfectly. Love that. And look at this hold here, right at 75 cents, nice little psychological level, and right on our beast level. So again, I kind of hate this, right? I kind of hate this. Both sides look great. Both sides look really great right here. So again, no idea what is going to happen here next. Best thing you can do is just wait for us to break out of this range and then start to gauge what these contracts look like, right? We start to break out of this range either direction. One of these sides, right, call side or put side, is going to start to give an uglier look. Right, and the other side is going to start to shape up nicely and continue to respect our beast levels. So definitely here recommending to you guys to play tomorrow's contracts, right? Love this 440 call for tomorrow. Love this 375 call for tomorrow. Love the puts as well for tomorrow. All of them looking great. Right, I'm likely about to get stopped out right here. I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to let it happen. I don't care. But alright, y'all, I'm going to start to wrap up my session here. I know kind of a slow one, but hopefully it was informative to you guys. Hopefully we all practiced patience this morning. Did see some peeps in the chat here in our Discord hit some individual names here to the upside, some individual tech names. Really nice job over there. Looking like we got some triples over here. Nice job, Watch. On Apple and on Amazon. Nice, nice, nice. But anyway, y'all, I hope everyone here has a great rest of your trading day. Again, remember, just keep an eye on these contracts, right? Play these contracts for tomorrow. Allow yourself a little bit more wiggle room. And yeah, just, remember, don't stress this too much, right? Really slow moves here this morning. We've all got a very limited mental gas tank every day, right? Don't waste it on this nonsense. So here I go. I just got stopped out on my puts. And again, like I've been saying this whole time, had a small position, no idea what was coming. I'm totally okay here with losing 40 bucks on these puts, right? Had no idea what was coming here. Honestly, could still roll over here, no problem. But alright, y'all, stay safe out here. Don't let these market makers get you. And just remember to be patient, alright? I'll be back on tomorrow morning for the open. And we will, of course, prep on Sunday here earlier in the day. But alright, y'all, much love. Stay safe and have an excellent rest of the day. Later.